Hey all, Cohen here. So I decided to make a video this morning. Today is a Monday, and I do my T shots on Monday. So I figured I've been seeing a lot of stuff on groups online about the correct way to do your T shot. A lot of guys say things along the lines of having a bump after doing their shot, or having it be itchy or red or things like that, or not knowing exactly where to do their tee shot. Also, a lot of people feel like there's not a lot of space for you to choose from in order to do your shot. So I figured I'd just make a quick video. My doctor taught me how to do my tee shot, and the way that I was taught is a way that a lot of people are taught. If you do intramuscular in your thigh, that's the only type of shot I've ever done, so that's the only one that I will show, and I'm going to show the exact way that I was taught by a doctor and a nurse how to do it. Um, so I'll start from the very beginning, and I have my T right here. What I like to do to make this easiest, the way I've been doing it since I started doing T, I take the bottle and I roll it in my hand. That makes the oil that the tea is suspended in, it's going to allow it to warm up a little bit so it's not as thick as it may be if you were not to do this. The thicker it is, the harder it will be to get into the syringe, and the longer it will take you to inject it into yourself. So that's just something else that you can do to make it a little bit easier. Also, if you find that you have bumps that show up after, or you have areas that are red or sore, usually that is because the tea hasn't worked its way through and it's taking a little bit longer. So in order for it to work properly, rolling it in your hands to warm it up a little bit will make that a lot better and should help with not having any bumps. So I took an alcohol swab, and you just want to rub top of your bottle, and then I use 23 gauge needles for my shots. I know a lot of doctors do say you can use an 18 gauge to draw, and then a 21 to a 23, 21, 22, or 23 gauge usually they say you can use. I don't like to draw with the 18 gauge. I feel like it's a waste of time. A lot of people find it's faster. For myself, I really don't, so I don't bother. But what I do, it's Monday morning, excuse me, but I put a bunch of air into my needle, and then I tip my tea bottle upside down, stick the needle in, and I slowly push all the air into the bottle, and that's going to create a force within the bottle, and all that air is actually going to push the tea into the needle, and it doesn't really take that long, but like, as you can see, I'm not touching it, and it's moving, so the air alone forces all the tea to go in. You're not going to end up with as many air bubbles either if you do it that way, because it's being forced by the air that is contained within the bottle above the liquid. Like, you can see I'm talking to you, and I already have way over my shot, right? Like, well, not way over, but I have over my shot right now. So then all I do is push it back up to where I need it to be, and I'm on 0.75. So we'll just take this and we'll set before. Always make sure. And I do, while I'm getting myself ready to do my other stuff, I do leave a little bit of a gap, and I push the air out right before I do my shot, so that any other, you might see a couple of air bubbles in there, it allows it to settle faster in case. I'm just showing you guys that just as a little tip that I have that I like to do. So what we're going to do now is we're actually going to do the shot. So pretty much what I want to show you guys. Sorry, knocked something over, so we're just gonna put that there. Okay, so I'm doing it in my left thigh today. So let's see if I can get it. Alright, there we go. So pretty much the way you want to think about it is that here's your thigh, right? So one hand at your knee, and so one hand here, and one hand right back here, where your leg starts with your hip. So right here you can see that there is a big area right here. So if you're trying to figure out where to do your T shot, one hand here, one hand here. This area in the middle is where you're going to go, and anywhere from the halfway point here to the halfway. So it's like thinking that your leg is sectioned off. So halfway down the middle of your thigh to over here is where you're pretty much going to go within this space and this space. So then take your alcohol swab, and you just give your leg a good rub right there. And then we want to get our T. And I'm just going to push all that air out of there from earlier. Alright. So, this area, and 1, 2, 3. And what I also like to do, I know it looks weird, but I leave the needle there, and then I pull it out, not even 5-10 seconds, and then after I take the needle out, because a lot of guys say that they do get that bump, what you do is you put pressure on it, and you give it a little rub like that, and that's going to allow the T to work in a little bit better as well. Usually that bump means that the T has stayed in that area where you have injected, and it's having a little bit of a time working its way through. So one thing I found was to take a piece of Kleenex or paper towel, and the moment that I take the needle out, I leave it sit there for about roughly 5 to 8 seconds, just so that it allows everything to settle after I've injected, and then I pull the needle out. Barely ever end up with any type of blood coming out. The odd time you will get one that you feel it. You will get one where it might bleed a little bit, but usually it's not too bad. You got to think about it as you just put a needle into your leg, and if you did accidentally like nick a vein or did accidentally hit something, then when you pull the needle out, it will have a little bubble of blood that comes up. But usually that's all it is that little bubble of blood. And I found that if I've ever had that happen to me, um, putting the Kleenex, napkin, paper towel, whatever you're using, the best way to stop that is to apply pressure, rub it real quick, and then usually it tends to stop bleeding. And when you guys have bleeders, it's not the end of the world. It just means that you could have nicked a vein. It means that you could have went very close and you accidentally just whoosh. So you will feel it if you do. Unfortunately, it happens to the best of us. We can't always tell where our veins are in our legs. But for the most part, it's not that bad. And I've been doing my shots intramuscular on my thighs for about almost a year and a half now. And very rarely do I even feel it anymore. So at the end of the day, that's the best way for me. I know that a lot of other guys have different ways that they do it, but I just wanted to share the way that I do it. And if anybody has any questions, you can feel free to ask below. I don't I don't know if there are any other questions that I may not have answered. I tried to do my shot as thorough as possible, and if I did leave anything out or you guys want to know anything else, please feel free to ask, and I will answer your questions right away. But I hope that this video helped out a little bit with some of the bigger questions and the how to do your T shot. One thing I do recommend though is that when you are starting T, you do make sure that you go see a doctor, you go through the proper channels to do so. And when you do your first T shot, I recommend that you either have a nurse practitioner or a doctor show you specifically how to do it, or you watch them do it the first time so that you learn properly. But if you've already gone to the doctors and you're just not too sure about what you were supposed to do or you can't remember, then this is just a handy helper video to refresh your memory. But just keep in mind that anytime that we do tell you anything medical transition wise, where you should also ask a doctor, we do ask that you ask a doctor and never take our word or anybody else's word when it comes to your health care over a doctor's. So I'm here to help. This is the way I do my shot. This is the way I know a lot of other people do their shots. So that's why I made the video. And I hope that it helps some people. And I hope everybody has a great week. Happy T-Shot Monday to all of my brothers out there who also do their shots on Monday. Hope everybody has a fantastic week. I'll talk to y'all later. Peace.